Good morning, everybody. This is the Personal Playlist Podcast, fondly referred to as the P3 on Voice Ed Radio. I'm Noah Daniel.
Music is a world within itself, with a language we all understand, with an equal opportunity for all to sing, dance, and clap their hands. Well, just because a record has a groove, don't make it in the groove. But you can tell right away left to A when the people start to move. They can feel it all.
I am so excited to welcome Matthew Oldridge here today. He is a grade 7 and 8 student success teacher from Peel, a father, a math specialist, a TEDx speaker. He's actually going to be presenting at TEDx Kitchener Ed coming up this month, and he believes that math should be full of surprises. Welcome, Matthew.
Hi.
How are you today?
Great, and you?
I'm pretty groovy, actually. Thank you. So the whole idea of this is people curate their 3 songs that reflect their personal playlist, and we talk about them. So they choose a nostalgic song, a song that reflects their identity, and a song that, you know, picks them up or lights them up. When you were choosing your songs, was it an easy process, or what was the experience like for you?
So for me, some people don't know, as you were just saying when we were just chatting, that some people think I just think about math all the time, but I actually know lots and lots and lots of music. But I kind of didn't overthink it, because if it was tomorrow, it could be 3 different songs. The next day, 3 different songs. And as you know, if you listen to a lot of music, there's always certain ones that you just play over and over. So I picked some that I've listened to a lot and that really mean something.
Okay. Are you getting ready for your TED Talk?
Yeah, so today I decided I wanted to only speak for about 8 minutes, because there's some really good shorter ones. And then so I finished the script today because I was a little bit blocked. And I have some of my images and ideas, and usually the creative process for me goes like, you know, the initial idea, put something down, you know, in a Google Doc or whatever, and then get locked up for like a month at least. And then this is just painful, right? And so I read this article last weekend. So the composer Hans Zimmer, he's known for all of Christopher Nolan's films and lots of movies, but
Yeah.
he was describing how agonizing the creative process is. So it's I definitely realize it's like that for me. But the breakthrough always comes. So you'd let the subconscious mind do its work, and eventually the breakthrough comes. So I just need a few
It's
slides.
important to know that it's a process too.
Yeah.
Like, it's not an event. Yeah.
Absolutely. And just recognizing that it will be painful.
Well, I'm excited to see it live and in person.
that's
There
great.
are a whole bunch of incredible educators
There
speaking
is.
that day, and it's worth the drive to Kitchener.
Absolutely.
So let's get to it. Your nostalgic song that you chose is Boots of Spanish Leather, and it comes off the Live at Carnegie Hall album from 1963, although that album didn't come out till much, much later. Tell me why you chose it for your nostalgic song.
It's true. And so the album was The Times They Are A-Changing back then. But I knew a lot of those songs through different live recordings that were traded on tapes way back and then traded on CDs later. So there was the whole Bob Dylan subculture. So, I mean, who is my like paramount above all others artist, and is the Titanic artist probably of our time as a poet and musician. But in that song, he'd often introduce it in different ways. And this one, he says something about this is a sort of, if you can't get what you want, you have to settle for what you get type of song, just somewhat sarcastically. But it doesn't
because it's like a love song gone awry almost.
Yeah, pretty much. And so of all his songs, it's the most structured like a it's obviously a poem, but it's a back and forth with a really nice resolution at the end. And he just kind of just admits that he'd like the shoes, the boots of Spanish leather, but after denying it for the whole song. But
because it's like this long distance relationship, right? That doesn't
Absolutely.
work out. Isn't that the idea?
Yeah, pretty much. And so, unlike the gnomic and hidden later artist who retreated behind persona, I think it actually is real. And I think it's actually written about a real person. So there's all these layers of him, and it's easy to forget that he once was able to sing this directly and this beautifully. I'm not referring to his singing voice, which is always different and sing, but just being able to sing that directly, I suppose. And so for me, since I was probably 18, I've been listening to the collected works of Bob Dylan, so I can go away from it for a while, and then I can always come back, and that's my forever artist for sure. So I'll always remember Highway 61 Revisited was the first one I got, and then filling in the gaps.
Sure.
And the whole culture, and going to shows. And most recently, I was at a OTF math conference in the summer, and I was staying near the airport. And I was like, I should go see the show, and it actually turned out to be a great one. I actually sat in the 5th row, so you could see the Oscar. He keeps his Oscar on the amp near him, which is strange. Beside a strange bust of a head. With Bob mostly at some kind of grand piano now and singing some kind of old-timey Sinatra type tunes, but it was great. So.
Yeah, but the set is very much loungy. There's certainly a low key.
It would surprise people. I think we think a lot of these artists as nostalgia artists, but it's definitely not a nostalgia set. So, and when people complain, they're like, I don't know what the songs are, but I think it also goes to show 76-year-old man that's still creatively restless and not finished. So this is nostalgic for very, very many reasons. But
I'm glad that you understand that he deserved that Nobel Prize for Literature. I think you understand the depth and layers to his music, and it's so cool that takes you back to when you were 18 and will always be a grounding force in your music collection.
Oh yeah, well that was always the thrill of discovery. So now it's so much easier because you can just sign up for your Apple Music or your Spotify and have everything. But we had to track it down. I had all these unlabeled tapes, so there was a lot of, and again, all the bootlegs, like this one, Carnegie Hall, they used to be just traded quietly and quasi-legally, if not illegally. And so I had a bunch of tapes, and they were unlabeled. So I knew it was a bunch of 63, 64, 65, 66. But I just listened and learned. I mean, I didn't even know. And now you can get any bootleg ever on the internet.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. All right, well, let's play Boots of Spanish Leather, live at Carnegie Hall, Bob Dylan.
This is called Boots of Spanish Leather. All it is a kind of, when you can't get what you want, you have to settle for less kind of song. Oh, I'm sailing away, my own true love. I'm sailing away in the morning. Is there something I can send you from across the sea? From the place that I'll be landing. No, there's nothing you can send me, my own true love. There's nothing I'm wishing to be owning, just to carry yourself back to me unspoiled from across that lonesome ocean. But I just thought you might want something fine, made of silver or of golden, either from the mountains of Madrid or from the coast of Barcelona. But if I
It's
hit
a
the
really good
stars
tune, though.
Yeah.
of the darkest
I love when there's live music that's nostalgic because it adds another layer to the experience and it makes you feel present in a moment, even
Yeah.
if you were never there.
So the first show I saw was like July '97, and I actually back then you traded with blanks and postage. So you sent a blank tape or tapes with postage to send it back. So the first show, which was Wilson Amphitheater, which is now Budweiser Stage.
Yes, I spent a lot of time there at various shows.
Yeah.
That's cool that was when you saw him. But you were talking about tapers, and there's a whole taper section for this next band. So it was just a perfect segue. I had
Okay,
to take
so that
it.
worked. Yeah.
Your identity song is from American Beauty by the Grateful Dead. And it's a song that has been done by lots of different people. And sometimes there are these great videos around the internet of different people singing the song, playing different instruments. And it's got a lot of layers and a lot of meaning. Why is it your identity song?
Yeah, well, I mean, in part I picked it because of all the layers. But I think that for me, I listen to a lot of different music. Like right now I'm trying, like always, more modern stuff. And right now I'm trying to listen to some hip hop and see what's out there. But I always come back to, I guess, the folk world and the country world. And so this is pretty much the perfect country rock song with all the chords and the hammers on, as it were, with the acoustic guitar and the harmonies. But it just treads on the edge of like really close to being too hippy dippy, but it's not. But I think anytime I hear it, it's definitely just a pick me up. So, and I would hope that if it's my identity, that I'm this mellow like this song. But it also talks about filling people's cup when they're empty and perhaps walking down a road, but there's no simple highway. And also the closing line, if I knew the way, I would take you home. So it to me, it's not on, like, I don't have one fixed meaning for it. I think it's just generally nice. And
it is nice, but the song has this great journey in it. And I love that you alluded to the teaching profession because, there's this analogy about filling people's buckets and what it means to have a full cup and how you can actually, infuse somebody else with joy and positivity, and it doesn't deplete you. It actually fills you back up. Yeah. And just going back to the layers of the song, I have this amazing image. It's one of my husband and I sing songs from the hallway to our daughters, and this is on our playlist. So we'll sing this song, and we can't harmonize, and I don't play acoustic guitar, although I do in my other perfect life. But there is something really extremely beautiful about this song, and there's a universality to it. So in terms of your identity, it really does say so much about you as a person and you as somebody who understands music, but you also as an educator, the fact that you tied that song in, that's amazing.
A nice way to think about it. One more lyric that resonates for me, that path is for your steps alone. And so sometimes, I have a very distinctive path and I have a loving family, but sometimes I have to walk it alone, as we all do.
We all do, and learning is personal, and everybody's journey, even if you're on it together, is personal.
Absolutely.
So, let's play Ripple. Yeah. Oh, sorry, what were you going to say?
Just the central image itself actually reminds me of maybe Japanese haiku. That actually just came into my head, but they would describe...
I've never thought that, but I'm going to now. Because of the nature?
Because usually they would describe like one moment in nature. Yeah, so the actual ripple itself, they might describe like the rings going outward and the sound of it. I think actually there's the most famous one, one of the most famous ones by Basho is about that. I actually just thought of this now.
Well, there is that mystical element, right, about that ripple without a pebble being tossed.
Yeah.
So, sometimes we can't find the origin of something, actually, but we're in the middle of a process.
That makes it the opposite of a more naturalistic haiku.
Okay.
Like, we're really getting to the bottom of this. This is great.
There is no bottom.
You're right. But I've never gotten this far with this song. This is great.
Oh, well, we can go further if you want, but let me play it first.
Very cool.
if my words did glow with the gold of sunshine, and my tunes were played on the harp strung, would you hear my voice come through the music? Would you hold it near as it were your own? It's a hand-me-down. The thoughts are broken. Perhaps they're better left unsung. I don't know. Don't really care. Let there be songs to fill the air. Rippled in still water, when there is no pebble tossed, nor wind to blow, reach out your hand. If your cup be empty, if your cup is full, may it be again, let it be known. There is a fountain that was not made by the hands of men.
I don't know if you've ever seen the documentary Festival Express, but Toronto Film Festival is coming up, and I saw it there. Hold on, I'm going to fix the sound. I saw it, and it's actually incredible if you're into music to see Janis Joplin having conversations with Jerry Garcia on this train, and lots of things happen on this journey. But the song was actually written on the journey, and then they put it to music. So it's really cool. And every time I hear stories from Deadheads about different songs and the stories that go with them, and like different ways that like Phil Lesh and Bill Kreitzman add something to the rhythm section after the lyrics have been done, and how. But anyway, I'm not a Deadhead, but I can speak a little Dead, and there's always so much more than there is on the surface with this band. Like
I can liken it to listening to Bob as well, because there's certain live recordings you'll listen. You weren't there, but they're kind of flat, and then there's certain you listen, they just blow you away. Like I've been trying like random Dick's picks on Apple Music, but we were driving on the weekend, and there was like Sirius Radio. There's the Grateful Dead channel.
Yeah, Tales from the Golden Road. Yeah,
I think it was like some random 73, and it was like I Know You. It was a China Cat Sunflower into I Know You Rider. So, but it was just like the craziest. And I was driving, and it just like really hit. And then all summer I was listening to, Scarlet Begonias into Fire on the Mountain.
Sure.
Yeah.
Scarlet Fire. I believe
yeah. But I was tracking down a bunch of those, and I was listening to them. So I got kind of into that. But then occasionally I listen. I'm like, I'm not feeling this. And a friend of mine was like, sometimes I imagine that they're not even playing in the same room, and I'm like, I guess the alchemy can be kind of like that. Once in a while, it won't quite miss, but then when it does, it's this crazy magic.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw your pick me up song, your motivational song. How do you want to call it, by the way?
So motivational is good. Yeah.
Okay, I saw it, and I had never heard of them. So I was really excited to check them out. But how did you hear of them, and what is it that you play it for?
So it's just a two-piece band out of, I think, Vancouver. And so that album was pretty big a couple of years ago. I think it maybe made the top 10. Actually, that song was actually, I think, the single of the year at Spin or something that year. And a lot of people love that album. But for such a two-piece band, which is just guitar and drums, it sure makes a heck of a lot of noise. But for me, it picks me up. When I used to run a lot of 5K races, you need the right tempo songs. So I would always finish with the Stooges, Search and Destroy. That'll just melt you. But if it starts too soon and the adrenaline kicks in, you're going to go slower. And you need some nice AC/DC in the middle when you're chugging, because it's just like a steady rhythm. But when you need a spark, this is a good song to pick you up. Further, though, I actually relate to the lyrics because, frankly, it says you can tell them all to go to hell. So basically, if they try and get in your way or shut you down. And so I think I felt that way before, where I just want to do that, just being totally honest. I want to tell people to stop throwing obstacles in my way and to get out of my way. Because sometimes people put up pointless obstacles. But I think it's more internal motivation. It's not intended to be a attack or slight on anyone, but sorry, go ahead.
When you're a 5K runner, do you make a playlist for yourself for every part of the journey? Is that the idea? I've never heard that before, so I'm interested.
For a while, like I haven't done it in a while, but the couple that I did really well on, I did. So I knew that around like 19 minutes, I'd need the Stooges to come on. So yeah. But this one could be the starter, or it could be the, if you're in the middle and you're chugging along, like AC/DC would be a little slower, and then his song comes on, it's a little faster. You could go to the Ramones after that. So I'd always be just thinking about that. Yeah, you could pace your run.
Totally see how the Ramones could come in after that. Okay, So this is Japan Droids. Is that how you call it?
Yeah.
Japan Droids? Japan Droids, the house that heaven built. So glad you added that song to my playlist.
That's a fist pumper for sure.
It really is. It's so fun. And it has a lot in it. I didn't really listen to the words because I was kind of rocking out, but I look forward to listening to the words since you say they help you too.
Yeah, that's just an internal motivation. Sometimes I need people to just get off my back and just get out of my way a little bit. But
and sometimes you just put on the right music and you get to the right mindset. Yes. And that's something so important for anybody, and especially modeling for our students different ways that we, self-regulate. It's always a good idea to talk about how music can play a role.
Yeah, it is that self-regulation, because it's better to be just sort of feeling the feelings through the song and just let go of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I always like to ask people if there's anything missing from their playlist. Like if there was a category of song or a song that you could have chosen, what do you feel was incomplete in your story, even if it's a snapshot just from today?
So if it was just today, it's actually kind of like not music at all, but for my working in the summer, I was listening to a lot of ambient music. And so I found this guy, William Basinski. He has a lot of albums, but he has a couple called the Disintegration Loops. And so he'll usually have like a 5-second loop of sound. So that's the front of the music. And the background kind of keeps changing. It's actually crazy music. So sometimes that kind of instrumental thing is what I use for working, and that's like amelodic, and it's definitely not rhythmic at all. But I'd say that. So that's for my workflow. Sometimes I don't need words. So, but just that I'll try listening to any. I'll listen to any music once. But there's, it's like reading. There's so many books and there's so many tunes. So,
yeah, I mean it
stops.
is a text that has a lot of narrative and can jive at different points in your life and at different moments in time. So I'll check that out. I don't usually listen to ambient music, although sometimes I use the Calm app or something like that. I don't know that I would qualify that in the same way because it's more meditative music, but I wonder if they can be.
Yeah, this one, it's hard to explain this one, the disintegration loops, but I was listening to Brian Eno, which is more well known for this sort of thing, and Aphex Twin as well, who's more on the musical side of things. Just sometimes it's something that'll just not get in the way. Another one is from Montreal, Godspeed You Black Emperor, but they're these crazy symphonic soundscapes. But those ones are like, they build and they kind of get into your skin, so you're like working and it'll reach the crescendo point, and all of a sudden I'll be inside the song. It's a little hard to explain. You can explain when there's lyrics a little easier.
That's neat.
Yeah.
I love that you were inside the song. Okay, well, I really appreciate you taking the time, especially considering everything on your horizon, to have this conversation with me. How do you feel about your playlist?
Oh, amazing. Yeah, thanks so much for the opportunity.
Oh, I'm so glad you were able to come. Okay, well, I'm going to play you out. This is Matthew Oldridge. Everybody have a great day. Thank you for joining us on the P3, the Personal Playlist Podcast. I'm Noah Daniel. This is Voice Ed Radio, and I hope you have a fantastic day.